Today we're going to be looking at this little Harbor Freight air compressor. I've had it for a while. It's done fine for me and what I need it for, but as you could tell in the first few seconds there, it is not building pressure anymore. So I can also kind of, when it's running, I feel a lot of air from under here, and you can sort of hear a hissing. I don't know if it's coming on the camera now, but there's a slight hissing coming from over here. So it never held air after I charged it for very long. Like overnight it would drain out, so something obviously is loose in here. I'm going to take it apart, see if we can figure out what's loose, and maybe seal it up and get it back to operation. Alright, well, the cooling fan explains all the air I was feeling. I thought that might be part of it. It's nice that it does have an actual metal head to radiate some of the heat. You can definitely hear air seeping out from somewhere. Sounds, actually can't feel any air coming from anywhere. You have to get some soapy water, and it's either probably coming from either right here or down under the gauge cluster where it goes into the tank. But let me get some soapy water and brush on there and see if we can see what's going on. Alright, got my soapy water, charged it up a little bit. I'm going to dab some on these connections, see if I see anything bubbling. Alright, well, after putting soapy water on what I can access, I'm not seeing any of the fittings or connection points bubbling, so there is a pressure sensor. I assume that's what that is, a pressure sensor. Can't see it all right now, but it does have the wires connecting to it, so it looks like a pressure switch. I can't really dab anything there, so I can't test it, but it also maybe sounds like that is the culprit. There's only a few screws holding the rest of this together at this point, and a few connections, so I'm going to go ahead and disassemble this further and take all the tank everything that goes to the tank. I'm going to take it off and then Teflon tape it and put it all back together and see if that fits. Couldn't find just something easy like this being loose, so we'll go all the way with it. Alright, let's give this a little percussive treatment. Now it spins nicely now. Yep, it's done. Time to just take care of that fastener, and when we put it back together, there'll be only 3 screws on that. Okay, so I got that one screw drilled out. You could almost take this apart without removing the motor, but in order to get this piece off. This is going to hold the plastic in, so in order to get everything off, this needs to get out of the way so you can wrench on that nut over there. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Should have done something about it. So these spacers have two pins that just sit in there. It looks like they just force the screws through an untapped hole. That's why they're so weird coming out, I guess. Now I got one stud to sit on. Let's see. These are, the wires are zip tied in there in an awkward spot, so let's see if we can just set this on the side here and not have to disconnect it all. Yeah. I'm sure I'm going to knock these loose, so take these off. I guess we can black red just for my understanding. There's a nut down there I can see. Oh, that was easier than expected. Last little bit of air. Alright. Let me see. Looks like, yeah, at this point if I just take the screws out of the plastic, I can set the whole thing aside and then I can get in here. And we can Teflon tape all these connections up. Sorry about all the planes today. Depending on the air traffic pattern, some days we get nothing, other days we have a plane every once in a while. It's really not too bad in real life, but it comes in real clear over the camera. Oh boy. That round screw is in there good. There we go. I think I can take this all off now. Metric, I think. But 9/16 is doing the job, so we won't worry about it. Alright. Yeah, that's seems some kind of crusty sealant on there. I bet this very well may be where the leak was occurring. It didn't seem to be down there very good, and sealant is very well, it just wasn't it wasn't spread around very well. So, all right, you can clean this up a little bit, thread, wrap everything, and we'll put it back together. Ooh, wasn't expecting that. There is an anti-backflow valve, and it was totally sideways. This wasn't set in the spring. I don't know if it was visible when it came out, but it was totally sideways. I wonder if that's the source of my problem. This valve wasn't set in right. I'm glad I took that off. Alright, well, I'll keep cleaning this stuff up here. For the record, I did take a look at this previously, and I wasn't able to find the leak there, so I think we were all good on the check valve. Let's see if there's any few drops of water want to come out. If I get this depressurized again, I'll have to clean that up. Alright, so again, I got that. Hopefully that's focused. I can't see because of the sun. Hopefully that will stay upright this time. I'll set that down in there. Set. Oh, no, can't set that there yet. All right, put those feet back on. Not feet, bumpers, isolators, whatever we want to call them. Pretty hard plastic. They're not. It's not like they'll be super dampening, but I guess it's better than metal on metal. Wait, I put these on backwards. Oops, I may have put that. Yay me, I put that one in upside down. At least that one's a quick fix. Double check. Yep. Alright, so that just, don't put it in the side where it kind of fits in there. It just goes up against the smaller end. Didn't notice there were two different sizes. And so, I guess we just set that in there. Now I didn't seal up where that goes in, and it just turned. So I guess we'll give it a go. And if I still have a leak, I got one more spot to do. Alright, everything is now hooked up, so let's plug it in, see if she gathers any pressure. Well, it seemed to pick up easier than last time. Doesn't charge very fast even when it was brand new. Seems to be holding. Don't think I'm hearing any. Yeah, I don't think I hear any hissing anymore, so alright, I'm going to let it run for a while, see if it charges all the way back up, and we'll go from there. So it just wasn't building up past 25 at all. I just, out of curiosity, tried these, and these screws are weren't very tight, so I'm going to take the head off, just take a peek in there real quick. I already loosened those up. Need to break this loose again. Should have done that first. Okay, there we go. And drop the screws over there. Interestingly, that's almost looks like a gas engine. A lot of crud in there. Cylinder, just rubber O-ring. Interesting. Yeah, it's kind of like some graphite. I saw a YouTube video on air compressors, and this is the same. Let me see if I can bring this in here. I'm going to reposition this 1 minute. Okay, so here's a little top-down view, and hopefully it shows, but you see how the piston rocks back and forth. So I guess on these inexpensive air compressors, there is no pivot up underneath the piston. I forget the name. Never been in the engine, so I forget the name of the knuckle joint. I don't know. Anyway, the piston rod and piston are all one big hunk of metal, so as the camshaft moves, the piston actually has to tip back and forth, and so it weeble wobbles around in there. Yeah, I guess that probably isn't good for a long life. It's some of the lube slash seal, I guess. I'm not going to mess with that and try and clean it up or anything, because I think that's helps to actually seal the piston stroke. But anyway, just put this back together, and actually while I have this apart, I should, yeah, I'm gonna real quick reseal that just to do it, since I did all the others, and then put it back together, tighten this head down, and see if that doesn't help me out a little bit. Just kind of slowly tighten these up in a cross pattern, just like you would for a tire or something. Or maybe a cylinder head. Now this doesn't work thread, of course. I think I changed the angle of the head. Now I can't thread this. There it goes. Wrong one. Alright, let's see what it does now. Alright, so after letting it run for a little bit, it just won't charge up over 25. And I was really suspect of it even be able to push air at this point. Just did a little bit of looking online and watched a couple other people take these apart. And my neighbor just took his motorcycle out in the backwoods, so sorry about that. Anyway, this really shouldn't be probably this mucky and dirty. The other thing I didn't notice at first when I first took this off, you can see right in there, there's no valve, and if I blow through the end here, it just blows right back. So yeah, good, this comes out. Oh, there it is. So my check valve broke. So this head is shot. In a case of, I guess you get what you pay for. I mean, this did work well until it didn't. But I'd say I had it for a year and a half, maybe, roughly. I only paid $49 for it. So I got my money out of it, I guess. Just keep it around for parts, see what I could do with it or something, I guess, you know. But that's the issue. You should, when you look at the head, it should be closed up. But oh, no, that's okay. Not wide open like that. So I guess it's off to find a new compressor for me. I hope this helps somebody. And anyway, I'll see you again next video. Thanks, bye. Alright, since there is nothing to lose here, trying one thing before I move this thing to the trash pile. The valve that's on top of the piston, you can see the piece of metal, the little thin piece of metal here, with a little brass piece on top, and then it's pinned in place. The top of the cylinder is the same thing. So I just pried off the old broken valve and the piece of brass, filed the pins a little bit to make them a nicer hole, got some flashing. This is just, I don't know if you can tell in there, it's just a typical, you know, white brown flashing you'll pick up at Home Depot or something. Cut a piece roughly to the right size. Used like a ice pick, if anybody watches Duresta. Used an ice pick to poke a couple holes through, and what seemed to work really well is I made the holes just big enough to go over the pins, and the side of the metal that was kind of pushed out and ragged from pushing these through, I put that down, and then I just put this on a nice piece of wood and hammered the heck out of these, and now this seems to be engaged pretty well with that. It mushroomed the pins, and the metal pushed up, sheet metal flashing pushed up against the pins as well, so that seems to be on there pretty good. Then there's a little raised round piece, I should have showed this. A little raised round piece right under here. Hammered the heck out of this to deform the metal around that and provide a bit of a seal. And then just took my Dremel, obviously, cut off around the edges to just make it so I make sure I'm clear of the top of the cylinder head there. We're going to give this a go, see if it'll build any pressure, if it'll fail in 2 seconds, who knows. But like I said, nothing to lose here. When you put this back together, you notice 2 pins, 2 holes. Make sure you get that lined up. I actually should put the... I got this kind of dirty. Let me clean this off real quick since I got it out. I'm going to put this little ring back around. I guess that won't really matter. I'll put that in later. So, orient that. Okay. Alright. Gonna put this all back together and we'll fire it up and see what happens. Stand by. Okay, head's back on, everything's hooked up. You can see I wasn't able to get above 25 before. Let's turn it on and see where it goes. Okay, that was about 4.5 minutes in real time. Thing's getting loud. It did get up to 45 PSI. This is really hot. Let me let it cool down, and I'm going to take a look to see if it's still holding together. Okay, still really hot. I still see the I can still see it's in place anyway. Yep, it is still on there. It looks like it might actually have conformed itself down to the shape of the inlet a little bit more. Alright, I guess I'll put it back together and let it just keep running and see if it actually fills all the way up or not. Alright, back at it. I tried letting it down and reinflating a couple times, and it just keeps getting up. Now it's not even getting up to 40. So my little makeshift valve had some impact, but it's not enough to fix it. And I'm not sure that the seal on the piston's any good anymore. And you know, I'm not exactly sure if it's supposed to be that goopy and you know, messy in there, or if it's you know, so I don't know if my seal's broken down, if that's supposed to be like that because that's how it stays lubricated, or what the issue is. But I think it's time for a new air compressor, and hope you enjoyed this. Hope it helps somebody in case you have a simple fix that you can actually complete. Otherwise, that's it for now. Thank you. Bye. Okay, so I was working on this, and now I have a solution to my air compressor issues. So went out and bought that from Harbor Freight, and it's 3 times as much as the old 3-gallon. That's 3 gallons. This is 2 gallons. However, this has got a huge motor on the back, and it's really quiet. This is the old one. Now listen to this run. Nothing. It's like, might as well not even be running compared to the other one. And I don't know if you can see the recharge rate on this. But we're taking the plastic off. But you can see it's going straight up. See how long it takes to get to 130. I mean, no time at all. The old one would take minutes to get up to the 100 PSI. So if I have any trouble with this, or I have a reason to make a review on it later on, I will. But seems like a really nice air pump, and you can get, like I said, you can probably get 3 of these for the price of this. But the recovery on this and the silence, the relative silence of it, is going to make it well worthwhile. So that's the end of this story. Thank you. Have a good day.